So Jefferson would have done an amazing job talking about critical minerals. Me, not so much on whatever his topic is, but I'm sure it's going to be engaging. My name is Mick Thomas. I'm the Director of Oil, Gas, and Mining for the state of Utah. We have a panel here to talk about critical minerals. Only a few more minutes, but it's some very important information that we want to share. With me is Dawn Wellman with Rio Tinto and Curtis Moore with Energy Fuels. Both of them are Southern Utah residents, and this really is a statewide thing. So why are we here? First, what are we up against? Why does it matter? And what are we doing about it? And those are the three questions we are going to address in our brief time with you. The three of us could easily talk for days or at least several hours about this topic, but we see the time and we'll try to be as concise as possible. What are we up against? The materials that we need for our way of life are in critical short supply. Specifically, the minerals that we need to maintain our way of life. It's been said if you don't grow it, you mine it. And the United States, over the past several decades, really since World War II, has allowed that supply chain to fall out of our control. I've got a thesis here from one of our staff, Mr. Wayne Western, who in 1985 got a master's degree in geology explaining why the critical mineral shortage was something to worry about. That was 40 years ago. Wayne's still here. His hair's a different color. You may see him. He's 6'6". You're not going to miss him. But this is not a new problem. But we're thankful to be a part of a solution now that the U.S. has ignored for some amount of time. We're not in dire straits completely. As Governor Cox and Secretary Burgum shared this morning, we are in a period of energy abundance. With natural gas, the governor's directive for Operation Gigawatt, we're in a great place, at least as far as the energy supply goes. But where are we going to be in 10 or 15 or 20 years? That's the question I want to talk about now. So that is, where are we at? What are we doing about it? I'd like to kick that over to Dawn and have her speak for some amount of time about your familiarity with the issue, with critical mineral shortages, and maybe offer some of the things there. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just to expand a bit upon what you provided, Mick, you know, we're at a time where, again, it's not new. This has been building for 40, 50 years now. And if you look over the last 20 years, where, you know, we've had considerably more and growing emphasis on the need for us to produce critical minerals, we've actually become more dependent on other nations for those critical minerals. We've actually been moving in the wrong direction. And so what does that really mean? Why do we really care about that? Well, you know, we all hear about, you know, the importance of them for energy and national security and things like that, but take that down a level. What does that mean? It means the cars you drive, the automotive industry. It means transportation. It means airplanes. It means aerospace, telecommunications, the infrastructure in your house, the clean water that we have, the electricity. We have energy abundance, but if we don't have the materials to make the grid, it doesn't matter how much energy we have because we have to get it from point A to point B. So we've gone in the wrong direction. And all of those things and many, many more, we've become more dependent on with other nations. And at this point in time, with the global geopolitical situation, we don't really want to be completely dependent, which we are for many minerals, on one other country. So it really is kind of a critical time. And for Utah, it's an incredible time because Utah has 40 out of the 50 critical minerals. It has the knowledge, which is one of the biggest limitations, is workforce experience. We have the experience, we have the workforce, we need more. But you could look at us as kind of like ground zero in terms of how do we do this as a nation? Utah has a really unique opportunity to be able to lead in workforce development, infrastructure development, and it really is a very exciting time to be able to capitalize on that and step forward as a national leader.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. So that's where we are. That's why does it matter? So what are we doing about it? Now, this is where I'm just the regulator. Actually, I'm just a geologist who happens to be the regulator. State government has a critical but kind of secondary role. Our goal is to enable compliance for the operators and the companies who can fulfill the supply. We need to enable that compliance and frankly get out of the way from there on. To do that, I really thoroughly enjoyed what Secretary Burgum and Governor Cox said this morning about permit reform and AI. Some things we're doing in the Division of Oil and Gas and Mining, we're in talks with our federal partners to determine what does a single form or a combined approach look like for the for permitting across all state and federal land. What does a unified approach look like for bonding so that we can eliminate duplicity for operators and drive toward that expedited approval time without compromising any standards? And that's very possible. One of the ways we're doing it, we're also at the Division in Communications initial talks with Google to develop an artificial intelligence model that can do a first pass and a first screening for some of these applications that could be hundreds of pages. That doesn't eliminate the people who are normally doing the permit approvals, but what it does is it frees them up to do what people do best, and that's what artificial intelligence should do. Free them up to do what they do best, and that's solve problems. That's just what the division is doing, though. I'd like for Curtis to talk a little bit about his view on this broadly, and also maybe what Energy Fuels is doing. Curtis?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you about these critically important issues. From our perspective, so we're the company that owns the White Mesa Mill down in Blanding, Utah. It's a uranium mill that's also started to go into rare earth elements. And from my experience, one of my main jobs is selling uranium to nuclear power plants. And this tidal wave of energy and electricity demand that is coming at us is real. I hear this from my customers. They are looking for, new uranium and more uranium to be able to fuel all the electricity and energy that is needed. Then when it comes to these issues like critical minerals, we are blessed in Utah with an abundance of critical minerals. But one of I'd say the important factors that always has to be considered is economics. Look, we probably have 50 out of the 50 critical minerals here in Utah, but is it economic actually to mine those and to process them and to extract them and to make materials that are actually usable? And that's not always, always the case, or nor is it always easy. Our customers are in their own, let's say, existential challenges, their battles. If you're a General Motors or you're a Volkswagen or a nuclear power plant, you're competing also against Chinese manufacturers and that sort of thing. They can't have their raw material costs go too high either in order to remain competitive. So what we're doing ourselves is to try to create a very cost-competitive supply chain for both uranium and also rare earth elements, which we think that we have done. And honestly, some of the work that is being done by our people down in San Juan County and in Blanding, Utah, is honestly extraordinary. I think people need to be shouting this from the rooftops, is that they are figuring out things in Blanding, Utah, that nobody else outside of China has been able to figure out in a way that's efficient, of course, environmentally responsible, conscious of health and safety, but also economic. It's a way to provide those raw materials to our Utah and our U.S. manufacturers in a way that's cost competitive and keeps them competitive as well.
Thanks a ton, Curtis. We're going to wrap up as quickly as we can because I know Jefferson's ready. One big takeaway is, as a geologist, and we can all say this, the rocks are where they are. Utah should not only be the source of the critical minerals, but also the processing center for the West. It's the model that some other countries that I won't mention have used to create an international dominance. We're not going for power, but we are going for security. And building out the processing capacity in Utah is the solution for our national security. The resources can come into Utah. White Mesa is an excellent example of the processing ability because we take it from the rock to something's useful. That's where we're driving, really, as a movement for critical minerals as Utah is. How can we be that central hub? That's our next step. That's our goal moving forward. We'll be around all day. Come up to Dawn and Curtis first, and if you see me, you can ask me a question as well. And we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.